are we talking about today? Today we'll be talking about something very specific. We're going to be talking about the difference between self-publishing and traditional publishing. So if you are a new author out there and you would like to publish your work, right, then this video is for you. I have made a few points here, right, and I'll be going over them, of course, right, so stay tuned and I'll be back in a few seconds. So we're going to first take a look at the advantages of self-publishing, and then we'll compare them along the way, right, with, of course, traditional publishing. First point here, I've written, they take about 2 weeks to 1 month to get back to you. Yes, so self-publishing companies like Amazon or Kobo, they can take up to 1 month. And that's the maximum amount of time you'll wait, right, for them to get back to you, right? And now if we compare that to a traditional publisher, they might take about 6 months to 1 year or even more to get back to you, right? And that is probably not such a strong point here, right? But it is something to consider, right? Second point, they do not alter your content. That is quite important because your creativity and your originality won't be compromised, right? And that is something that maybe you should think about, right? If you are someone who, you know, does not really want to change things about, you know, the plot, the characters, right, then maybe traditional publishing is not the way to go for you, because obviously an editor from a traditional publishing house, he or she will certainly find things, you know, that needs to be changed in your story, right, and maybe even your title. So that's the second advantage. Third advantage here is, and this is one of the best ones, you get to keep your rights, which is really amazing because with a traditional publisher, of course, you don't get to do that, right? So if tomorrow one of the big guys like Netflix or Amazon Prime, right, they decide to turn your book, your novel, into a movie, which is quite far-fetched, honestly, but it could happen, right, if you push the right buttons. But if ever that happens, right, well, you get to keep most of that amount, right, from the movie rights. Whereas with a traditional publisher, I think they get to keep 50% of that, right, of course. And now, of course, there are, you know, drawbacks to that. Okay, we'll get to that later, of course, right? Because you need to know that it's not so easy, you know, as an individual, to simply go out there and say, I've written a book and I would like to turn this into a movie. So please, Amazon or Netflix, you know, do your job. No, it's not like that. So, because they do not accept any kind of submissions from, you know, any kind of unsolicited submissions from individuals. So you need to have an agent or a production company, right? And if you're an individual who is self-published, then production companies or agents do not really see your work as, you know, credible. We'll get to that later. Next one here on the list is your royalty rate is higher. And that is a good point, because with self-publishing, so you've got ebooks and paperbacks, right? Now you get to keep up to 70% of your, of course, the price of your book. Now if it's paperback, then of course there's the printing costs, right? And then their commission, and then you get the rest. And that's still more than what you will get with a traditional publisher, right? And we'll get to that as well later. It's all about credibility and how much you can sell on your own. Now, while all of that seems great, I'm going to dive into the drawbacks now, right? And this might lead you to change your mind. Okay, let's get to it right away, right? I've written here that you have to do everything by yourself. And I'm talking about designing a professional cover, editing, formatting, right? And most importantly, proofreading. That is a big no. Proofreading is extremely time consuming, and yes, it takes an awful amount of time to do that. And plus, you're not really recommended. It's not recommended to proofread your own work, right? And that's because I've written here, and I think that sums it all up. What you've written is already ingrained in your memory. So when you're reading it again, sometimes you're not really spelling and reading per se, but you're simply remembering the word as you had first intended to write it. I hope that makes sense. So finding typos, typing errors, would not be so ideal there, right? And you would need to, if you want to do something professional, you would have to pay professional proofreaders, not just anyone. So that could cost you a good amount of money, right? So that is something to really think about. Okay, let's move on to the next one here. Okay, marketing. But before we get to marketing, let's talk about how is that a plus for traditional publishers. It's very simple. You don't have to worry about any of those things, right? They will take care of everything, right? So, great. Marketing. That's maybe the biggest disadvantage, the biggest drawback, because if you are self-publishing, you need to invest in your own marketing campaigns, which means that you will have to inject a lot of money simply to be seen out there, right? And otherwise you will have no visibility, right? No one will even know that you've published a book, right? So if you want people to know that you've published, you will have to market it. There's no, discussing that point, right? There's no arguing that point. Now, if you're a new author and you don't have an already established reputation, well, it could be very hard for you to get people to read your book because they don't know you, right? They don't trust you, right? They've never read your work before, of course, so you can't blame them for that. Now, with a traditional publisher, the plus point here is that your work automatically becomes more credible. And that's what I was referring to before, credibility, right? A simple Facebook, Instagram, or I don't know, TikTok video from them, whatever. I don't even know if they make TikTok videos, do they? I don't think so. But anyway, a simple Facebook post from these guys, right, will automatically trigger, genuine interest and attention to your novel, to your work, right? And that means a lot. That makes the whole difference, right? You could sell a lot of books right there, right? Just one simple post from them, right? Now, if you know someone who's an influencer, right? Or if you are, quite popular yourself on social media, then maybe, right? Maybe self-publishing could be the way to go for you, right? But otherwise, if you want to have that kind of visibility and credibility, right, and you have, you don't have an already established reputation, then maybe going with a traditional publisher might be more painful, but it's certainly going to be the better choice for you, right? Now, I've written here that It's all about the name, reputation, and trust that they have developed over the years. And that is indeed true, right? I think that's, very simple to understand, right? So my personal opinion now, I've self-published my book, right? And at first, right, I thought I was going to simply post on Facebook and it's going to work. It's not that simple, really. Because even if you post in a group that has like thousands and thousands of members, right, your post is only seen by a few people. You will have to pay Facebook, right, to boost your post, right, so that thousands of people can see it, right? And you need to do that, on a continuous basis. You have to be very consistent. You have to keep injecting money into campaigns. Could be online, could be offline, your choice. But you have to do it. And if you really want to connect with today's youth, then of course you have to do it online. Right. And most new authors don't really have that kind of budget for marketing, right? So maybe, you don't want to go there, right? Now, when I first started to market my book, it was selling. Not a lot, because of course I, don't have, a reputation as an author. I'm a new author. So when I first did it myself, I was selling quite a few books. Not a lot, but a few, to be honest with you, right? Maybe if I had continued to market it, it would have, sold a lot more, certainly. Well, I've been speaking a lot, right? I've been talking a lot. Okay. But my personal opinion then here would be that if you don't have a reputation, right? If you're not an influencer, or if you don't know anyone that could market your book for free, then maybe you should simply go with a traditional publisher as a new author. But if you do have a good number of followers on Facebook or Instagram or TikTok, well, then you should take your chance at self-publishing, because keeping your rights, earning more on royalties, right, keeping your creativity and originality, well, it's a really big deal, right? So it's up to you now, right? I've laid down everything that you need to know. I mean, it's not everything, but the main things that you should be aware of if you want to publish your work, right? Now it's up to you to decide. If you have any questions, please comment below. I will make sure to get back to you, right, as soon as possible, okay? And if you think that this video was worth it, if you've learned something today, right, and please do watch my other videos as well. If you think that they are worth it, then please do subscribe to my channel, right? And don't forget to like and share. It goes without saying, okay? So thank you very much for watching, and I shall see you in the next video. Take care.